This video is copyright protected, which is detailed on the last slide. This video is intended to be a brief overview of the steps involved in converting your wet seal pump into a dry seal. It is recommended that you pause and rewind several times prior to beginning the conversion yourself. The parts laid out on the toolbox are what are included in your pump seal upgrade kit. After draining the liquid from the tank, drain the pump housing and seal reservoir by removing the 2 drain plugs. Remove the 4 bolts securing the engine to the pump platform. Remove the 2 stainless steel band clamps connected to the pump inlet and outlet. Save band clamps and manifold gasket for later use. Remove the 10 body screws, lock washers, and nuts from the pump assembly. Remove the body from the pump assembly and save all for later use. Remove the check valve from the volute. Remove the 1 upper and 2 lower volute screws, and then remove the volute. Save all for later use. Remove the impeller bolt from the impeller and discard. Remove the impeller and key shaft carefully using a pry bar if necessary. Save for later use. Remove the 4 bracket screws, rear bracket washers, and screw head O-rings from the rear bracket using a 1/2 inch socket. Discard all hardware and O-rings. With the 4 bracket screws removed, the rear bracket and reservoir can now be removed from the drive unit. Discard the rear bracket, reservoir, intermediate shaft, and all O-rings. Polish the drive unit shaft to remove any corrosion that may have formed. Clean the engine mounting surface of any debris and polish if necessary. Install the pump slinger, which is item 1 on the first page of the parts breakdown. The slinger should be slid all the way back on the shaft of the drive unit so that the slinger covers the step of the drive unit shaft. Place the seal O-ring, item 8 on page 1, behind the lip of the spring half of the seal assembly, item 9 on page 1. Install the seal assembly half into the rear bracket using a tool such as a 1.5 inch pipe nipple or arbor press to give even pressure on the metal flange of the seal housing during installation. Gently press the seal into position until it bottoms. Place a flat washer and screw head O-ring on each of the 4 cap screws. Install the rear bracket onto the engine using the bracket screw assemblies from the previous step. The handle of the rear bracket should be on top of the drive unit. Tighten securely. Remove the seal from the impeller by using a wrench to pry out the seal from the rear of the impeller housing. The outside diameter of the rubber boot may be sparingly coated with silicone or dielectric grease to ease installation. Install the ceramic seal half into the impeller rubber first. The ceramic seal surface should be facing out. Press the seal half into the hub of the impeller using even force. Be absolutely sure that the ceramic seal half is bottomed out and installed squarely. If the installation is not square, seal wobble will occur, leading to premature seal failure. Care must be used when handling the seal to not scratch the seal surface. Install the impeller key shaft and impeller onto the engine drive shaft. Secure the impeller to the drive unit shaft with the impeller bolt gasket and the 5/16 by 1 1/8 hex flange cap screw. Tighten the cap screw until snug. Install the O-ring segment and O-ring. Lightly coat with silicone grease to secure. Reinstall the volute onto the rear bracket using the 3 volute screws. Reinstall the check valve onto the snout of the volute. The drive unit should be turned over a few times to check for clearance between the impeller and volute. A small amount of drag between the impeller and volute will cause no problem. However, if the drive unit will not turn over because of the lack of clearance, a shim may have to be used. Reinstall the pump body with the outlet flange facing up. Reinstall the 10 body screws, 10 lock washers, and 10 nuts to secure the pump body to the rear bracket. Tighten the cap screws securely all the way around. Remove the elbow from the top of the suction side of the plumbing. Replace it with the provided T. Install the level switch coupling using the provided gasket and band clamp. The coupling should be oriented so that the threaded fitting is positioned at the bottom. Place the pump in position, aligning the inlet and outlet plumbing. Clamp in place using stainless steel band clamps and gaskets. Mark the 4 bolt holes in the engine on the pump platform. Remove the pump and drill 4 holes using a 7/16 drill bit. Reposition the pump, aligning the inlet and outlet plumbing. Clamp the inlet and outlet fitting in place using band clamps and gaskets. Bolt the engine to the pump platform using the provided hardware. Apply liquid thread sealant to the float switch. Then install the float switch, noting the orientation. There is a mark at the base of the float switch denoting the orientation of the switch. The switch should be installed so that it opens upwards, in line with the orientation groove on the coupling. Locate the low oil shutoff wiring that runs into the engine block. Disconnect the yellow wire. Connect the new harness to the 2 ends of the now disconnected yellow wire. Remove one of the bolts from the base of the engine block and secure the ring terminal. Apply dielectric grease to the plug end of the float switch harness. Then route along the engine toward the kill switch. Secure using supplied zip ties. Refill your liquid tank and pull start the engine to verify functionality once hooked up to your main tank. If the engine will not start, it may be necessary to purge the air in the new T fitting to ensure the float switch rises. Loosen the band clamp on the level switch coupler and separate until water begins to seep from the fitting. Secure the band clamp and start the engine.